Well, hello, Maverick traders. Happy New Year to you. Joe with you here, January 2nd, 2024 for the first time. And understand, folks, this is the beginning of a year, so let's not try to make or break our portfolios in the first day after a holiday. I've got my 2 cents. Take responsibility for the outcome of what you get from this course. Make sure you follow your trading plan. As always, I'm going to give you a technical breakdown of the markets. I'm going to share trades with the community. Just make sure that you know what you're doing when you follow along with us.
Disclaimer. This video was created for professional stock and option traders. Maverick Trading is a proprietary trading firm that employs professional traders around the world. Our traders trade firm capital and keep 70 to 80% of profits they generate. All trades and analysis in this video are for professional traders only. If you are interested in becoming a professional trader for Maverick, click the apply button in the video description. Let's break down what happened today.
Moving into the market analysis, there's not a lot to report except for a little bifurcation. Let's jump into the daily news. Bifurcation starts off the new year. This is what you would expect when it comes to, hey, 2023 tax implications have ended. Let's get into 2024. I'll deal with them April of next year. So we should expect the first few days of the year to act like this. Stuff that's super strong is going to fall apart. Stuff that's super weak is going to move higher because we're going to get into reallocation when it comes to all these institutional trading. It's just day to day. How do we finish? Dow, S&P, and the Qs, completely different. The Dow actually managed to go flat. S&P down about 0.5%, but the Qs look to get smashed. It's not that they're getting smashed because I'll show you a chart here, guys. They're actually just pulling back because there's a lot of profits to be taken. Russell's even at about 0.5%, oil down a lot, gold down just slightly. So moving into the chart itself, the SPY, this is what I'm talking about. We've got a pretty good area, and this is a large area of consolidation. But based on what I'm seeing with this 20-day moving average and 50-day moving average, take a look at the volume over the last subsequent days. It hasn't really gone anywhere. You can actually make an argument of a tighter high base. Great. But what we do need to know is just because the markets are falling or we did get a pretty good sell-off does not mean it's trend changing. This is allocation changing, and it's a very difficult market to trade, especially in the first couple of days or weeks of the year. Moving on to the Qs, pretty much the same idea. The Qs look a lot more ominous because take a look at the size of the candle here. We actually got below that 20-day moving average with a huge amount of volume. But folks, this is seriously still in a very strong, aggressive uptrend. I do not know how many ways I can draw this. With the moving averages up, with the surge in the last few weeks up, it's going to take a lot for these markets to go from super aggressively to the upside to, oh, it's corrective and falling apart. So we can't look any deeper than the fact that this is just corrective action at the beginning of the year. And this is a tough class to do, folks. Sometimes I find myself doing this every year. It's a very difficult one because it is literally one day. This is the first trading day of 2024. I am not about to put my portfolio out there based on any sort of action I saw today. Expectations are for corrective action, profit taking, and reallocation, and this is exactly what I'm saying. Software and technology. See if I can't get a line here or a box. Everything that outperformed, everything that beat highs, everything that had the highest percentage is red. Convenient, right? Everything to the downside, everything that was speculatively weak, everything that was sold into, everything that had profit taking based on the end of worries when it comes to this specific sector is now green. That's all we can take it as, folks, as just a bounce. So I'm not going to change much. I can't change much. I took a 3 down to a 2. I took a 2 down to a 1 when it comes to the weekly and the monthly outlook. I do like the trend. We base most of this off of the SPY, but if you take a look at that, it's still in the higher end, above the 20, above the 50, both rising. Price action's great. Sure, I'm not going to go ahead and short anything. I'm not going to try to guess on what's going down or what could go higher, but I'm just going to sit there on my bulls and just let them float. +2 on the monthly outlook, +1 on the weekly. We'll see how far this pullback goes. This is just one day. It's too hard to gauge. but I'm not going to make any sort of a longer term trend play on this regardless. I'm not going to do anything longer term for sure. So let's jump into some of the trades that I'm looking at. They carried over from last year, of course. Energy, Peak, HST, Monster, eBay, all these are doing pretty good. On the sideways side, Nvidia, which was an outperformer, which is actually kind of consolidating, but BEKE, which I like, seems to be continuing to go sideways. And then on the bear side, I'm not going to put emphasis on the bear side, not right now. We got a correction. We got all sorts of push-pull when it comes to reallocation, but I don't see anything quote-unquote bearish. So I really don't want to put too much emphasis on it. Let's move into what I found here on the bull side that we could play moving forward. I liked Monster. Monster's pretty cool. It had a pretty good base going on around this area, and it looks to be pushing higher. I did like today's volume. I think it could be something that we could follow through, but I got to have it confirmed. Once again, let's make sure that we just don't throw darts out there immediately. Let's wait for these stocks to actually prove themselves before we put money into them. But this is something that's definitely on my watch list. Let's move forward here. Let's get into our sideways trade. This is BKE. Let me go ahead and erase this. This is BKE. What I like about this is it has stayed well within this range for a while. I know it's only about a $2 range, but it's something that has been working, and I think it will continue to work. So let's see if we can't take advantage of it. Outside of that, guys, that's about it. That's about all I've got for January 2nd. And I'm sorry that I have nothing else to project you guys to make you a ton of money to the end of 2024, but it is literally the first trading day of the year. Portfolio balancing and profit taking can create false signals. Be aware of these. Do not confuse your outlook and your bias with what you see technically. Wait for them to break levels before that happens. I will allow sector rotation to happen, but it can't happen in 1 or 2 days. Sector rotation takes weeks, at least 7 days, at least 14 days before we can literally see support resistance and trend changes. Wait for confirmation with any support resistance failure, especially with individual stocks. I have a couple of bear trades, folks, that have a huge shadow below the low that I'm dying to short, but it looks to me that it's going to bounce pretty aggressively over the next few days, but it's still on my short list. This means I'm not going to be reactive. I'm not going to jump on it until I see confirmation or something, maybe 1 or 2 days. If you want 1 day confirmation, this is the time to wait for maybe 2. Take your time here. Focus on your sector performance and sentiment before jumping into anything. We have some economic reports coming in. They seem to be based, but we'll see how the markets deal with it. If you see the markets ignore good or bad economic reports, that means we are still in the beginning of the year rotation. Buying low, speculative buying, profit taking. Earnings, I'm not even worried about. Just make sure you triple check before you buy anything. Outside of that, folks, it is way too early for us to make anything. It's so difficult to make a trade past a week here. I'm going to sit back and take a look at the next couple of weeks before I even try to re-implement my portfolio. All right, folks, thanks for joining me, and we'll talk to you next time. Bye, everybody.